This story is not meant to be heard after midnight. It was almost midnight when Dr. Evelyn Clark arrived at the abandoned St. Mary's Hospital. The fog was thick enough to blur the shape of the building, and the wind dragged what sounded like distant whispers along the cracked parking lot. Evelyn wasn't supposed to be there, not at this hour. But something in the files she had found in the university archives, an old, incomplete report, had led her straight to this forgotten place. St. Mary's had been shut down in 1989 after an incident that no one could fully explain. Every mention of it in official documents ended abruptly at the same page. There was talk of an outbreak, a fire, a cover-up. But what Evelyn read, it spoke of Room 9, a ward that didn't exist on any of the architectural blueprints, a ward that no one admitted to building. Her flashlight flickered as she stepped through the sliding doors, their glass shattered and blackened with mold. The reception area was frozen in time, wheelchairs rusted into corners, papers glued to the floor by decades of moisture. The air smelled like copper and rain. She walked to the main desk. A visitor log still rested there, its ink bled into the paper. The last entry: September 13th, 1989. Patient transferred to Room 9. No discharge recorded. Her heart pounded. The page after that was torn out. A noise echoed through the corridor. A metallic clang, distant but deliberate, like a gurney being wheeled on uneven tiles. Evelyn turned her light toward the sound. "Hello?" she whispered. The echo swallowed her voice. The light hit something, a hospital map on the wall. Her eyes scanned every ward and corridor. Rooms 1 through 8 were there, but between them, a faint shadow of erased ink, an outline of what once had been labeled 9. She traced it with her finger. The map felt slightly warm to the touch. Evelyn followed the map down the main corridor. The signs on the walls still pointed to Ward A, surgery, and morgue, but she wasn't looking for those. She was looking for the impossible. Room 9. Her shoes left dark prints on the linoleum, slick with condensation. The deeper she went, the more the air changed. The smell of mildew gave way to something sharper, antiseptic mixed with rot. A heavy door creaked open at her push, leading into an old wing. It was colder here. The kind of cold that didn't belong to the air. It belonged to the building itself. The hall stretched long and silent, lined with numbered doors. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then nothing. The next wall was blank concrete. No 7, no 8, no 9. Just a flat, sealed surface where something had clearly been plastered over. Evelyn touched it. The texture wasn't right. It was hollow, resonating faintly. Her hand brushed across what looked like scratches, human-sized, dragged into the plaster from the inside out. She stepped back, trembling. Behind her, a noise, a door that wasn't there a second ago, slowly opened with a deep sigh. Evelyn turned around. The wall was gone. A narrow corridor now extended into pitch blackness, lined with flickering bulbs that pulsed irregularly, as if syncing to a heartbeat. The smell was stronger now, iron and disinfectant and decay. Her flashlight beam cut through the dark. A sign hung crooked at the end of the hall. The metal letters had rusted, but the shape was still legible. Room 9. Evelyn stepped into the corridor, and the air instantly thickened. Every sound became muffled, as if she had entered a vacuum. The corridor was narrow, too narrow for a hospital. The walls were swollen with moisture, pulsating faintly beneath peeling paint, as though the building itself were breathing. Her flashlight trembled in her grip. The beam cut across faded patient charts pinned to the wall. They all bore the same name, Subject 09. No date, no diagnosis. Just that title, written over and over in the same frantic handwriting. She turned a corner, and something metallic rolled across the floor. An empty IV stand, its wheels squeaking softly. The corridor ended in a single door, almost hidden in shadow. A red light blinked above it, flashing every few seconds, irregular like a heartbeat. She reached for the handle. Cold metal, slick with condensation. For a moment, she saw her reflection in the small glass window, except the reflection wasn't moving the same way. Her reflection tilted its head slowly and smiled. Evelyn staggered back, slamming against the opposite wall. The light flickered twice, then steadied. Her reflection was gone. She exhaled shakily, forcing herself to look again. The glass was now black, as if covered from the inside. Something scraped just behind it, dragging nails or bones across the surface. Then came the sound. A low, rhythmic breath. Too close, too heavy to be human. She pushed the door open. The hinges screamed as if protesting. Inside was darkness so complete it seemed to absorb the beam of her flashlight. Dust swirled in the air, forming tiny constellations that vanished as soon as they appeared. The room smelled of metal and damp cloth. At the center stood an old hospital bed, its frame rusted and bent. A faint outline of a figure lay beneath a sheet. Evelyn's pulse thundered in her ears. She took one step closer. The sheet moved slightly, as though stirred by breath. Her voice broke into a whisper. "Hello?" The sheet shifted again, rising gently, then falling. She reached forward, fingertips trembling, and pulled the fabric away. There was nothing beneath it. Just the imprint of a human body pressed into the mattress, fresh, still warm. Evelyn stumbled back. The overhead light flickered violently, and she caught a glimpse of something written on the wall in dark, smeared letters. He never left. The air thickened. From somewhere behind her, the metal bed frame groaned, bending under invisible weight. She turned and froze. Someone was sitting on the bed now. A silhouette, tall and wrong. The head tilted toward her, the same motion her reflection had made. It whispered her name. Evelyn ran from room 9 until her lungs burned. She stopped only when she reached a stairwell leading down to the basement. The walls here were covered with old signage, records, radiology, pathology. Her flashlight beam trembled across a rusted door marked Archives. It took her 2 tries to force it open. The hinges snapped like bone. Inside, the smell of dust and paper rot filled the air. Shelves leaned in every direction, packed with decaying folders. Her breath fogged the air as she scanned the labels, patient files, old x-rays, forgotten case notes. Then she saw it. A box sitting apart from the rest, untouched by dust. Inside, several old VHS tapes, their labels handwritten in red marker. Each tape bore the same date, September 13th, 1989. The same day the hospital was shut down. One of them read simply, Room 9, Observation. Evelyn brushed it off and looked around until she spotted an old VCR hooked to a medical monitor. She hesitated, her hands shaking as she slid the tape in. The screen crackled to life, static hissing. A timestamp blinked. 2:37 a.m., September 13th, 1989. The footage showed the same corridor she had just walked through. A doctor stood beside a restrained patient. The patient was screaming, voice raw, pleading. The doctor didn't move. He just leaned close and whispered something into the patient's ear, too soft to hear over the static. Then the patient stopped screaming. His eyes rolled back. The camera jolted violently. Someone behind it shouted, "He's awake! Don't let him see!" The feed ended in a burst of distortion and a faint whisper caught in the static. "He's still here." The screen went black. Evelyn's reflection glimmered on the dark glass, pale and shaking. Then the monitor blinked again, but this time the camera was no longer showing 1989. It was showing her exact position in the archive room, the same angle, the same trembling flashlight. She froze, staring into the screen as the grainy image of herself slowly tilted its head. She turned around. Nothing. The room was empty. But on the monitor, her reflection moved again. This time, it stepped forward, closer, until the figure on screen filled the frame, smiling, eyes pure black. The monitor's glass bulged outward with a sharp thump. Cracks splintered across its surface. A faint handprint appeared on the inside of the screen, pressing out. Evelyn stumbled back, tripping over a stack of boxes. The power flickered. Every fluorescent light in the basement began to buzz, louder and louder, until the bulbs exploded one by one. Darkness swallowed her. In the silence that followed, something breathed from the shadows. Slow, wet, close. When the emergency lights finally flickered back to life, Evelyn saw the tape had ejected itself. The label was smeared, the ink dripping like blood. Another tape lay beside it, one she hadn't noticed before. Its label read, "Dr. Clark, final record." Her breath froze. Clark, her own surname. She inserted the tape with trembling hands. The screen filled with static, then cleared to show a man in a white coat, older, exhausted, eyes sunken. The name tag read, Dr. Samuel Clark. He looked straight into the camera. "If anyone ever finds this," he said softly, "you need to understand. We tried to save him." He paused, voice cracking. "He was my son. Subject 9 wasn't a patient. He was a child born from the experiment. We thought we could cure death itself." He exhaled shakily, glancing toward the door. But when he opened his eyes again, he wasn't my son anymore. A deep metallic sound echoed behind him. The doctor flinched, turning off screen. "Please," he whispered, "if you find him, don't let him out." The screen distorted violently. Then a faint voice whispered through the static, "Father." Evelyn dropped the tape. It hit the floor with a hollow crack that echoed through the entire basement. The monitor flashed white just once, and every light in the hospital turned on at the same time. She shielded her eyes. When she looked again, the walls were different. The paint was new, the air bright and sterile. For a moment, she wasn't in the ruins anymore. She was in St. Mary's Hospital, 1989. Nurses rushed past her. Stretchers squealed down polished floors. The smell of disinfectant was sharp and alive. She turned to a window. The night outside was clear, not a trace of decay. Evelyn's breath trembled. She wasn't dreaming. She was inside the past. A voice called from behind her. "Dr. Clark?" She turned. It was him. Dr. Samuel Clark, alive, wearing the same white coat from the tape. He looked younger, but his eyes were full of the same exhaustion. "You shouldn't be here," he said quietly. "He's waking up." The lights flickered once, twice. Then the sound came, a deep, rattling inhale that didn't belong to anyone human. Down the hall, doors slammed shut one after another, the lights dying with them until only one remained open. Room 9. Dr. Clark's expression twisted with horror. He wasn't supposed to wake before the fire. Evelyn stepped toward the door, whispering, "The fire?" The floor shuddered. The smell of smoke began to creep in. The floor trembled beneath Evelyn's feet. Alarms screamed. Smoke rolled through the corridor, swallowing the white lights in a choking haze. Dr. Clark grabbed her arm. "I tried to end it. I burned the ward to stop him from spreading." A blast of heat erupted from room 9, sending flames crawling up the walls like veins of living fire. Through the blaze, Evelyn saw movement, a tall, skeletal figure standing in the center of the room. Its skin was paper white, eyes hollow, veins pulsing black. The thing turned its head toward her and smiled. The firelight flickered across its face. It was her own. The same features, twisted and scorched. Her reflection, her bloodline, her curse. She realized then what the files meant. "Subject 9 wasn't your son," she whispered. "He was your experiment. And I'm..." The creature moved faster than thought, pressing its hand to the glass. Flames turned blue. The corridor warped like melting film. Dr. Clark's voice broke. "You are his continuation. They used you to bring him back." The world shook violently, ceiling collapsing. The sound became a roar, 1,000 screams merging into one. Evelyn reached for her father's hand, but he was already burning, his skin dissolving into ash. Silence. When Evelyn opened her eyes, the fire was gone. She was back in the present, lying on the cold floor of the ruined hospital. The walls were black with soot. The air smelled of death and rain. Her flashlight lay broken beside her. The only light came from the door ahead, room 9. It was open again, waiting. Inside, everything was exactly as before. The bed, the sheet, the dark writing on the wall. But something else was there now. A heartbeat. Slow, steady, coming from the mattress. She stepped closer, whispering, "Who are you?" A child's voice answered softly from beneath the sheet. "You are." The bed shuddered. The sheet began to rise, not from breath this time, but from something crawling upward beneath it. Evelyn froze. Her reflection in the window behind the bed smiled, moving just slightly out of sync. Then, with a sudden movement, the figure beneath the sheet sat up, and the camera of her fallen recorder clicked on by itself. The final frame captured her face, eyes black, staring into the lens. Cut to black. If you're still here, it means it found you too.